Welcome everyone to another lengthy insecurity news live stream. I know the goal was to maybe do it more often shorter, but super busy week, and this stream also slightly delayed. Sorry for that, because a little bit of a hiccup here. I just soldered and resoldered my battery camera connection thingy because I thought I broke it, but it was just plugged into a switchable power extension cord that wasn't switched on, so one soldering and desoldering. Anyway, later. Welcome everyone. So this week, super busy. I think it was just only 3 days or something ago that we had the other insecurity broadcast here. And so much happened since then, it's unbelievable. It's so much breaking news that I actually considered live streaming this the other midnight or two, but it's, as I said, super busy here this week, an unbelievable month here. So let's get started. Welcome everyone. So all the people previous said with all my Linux and monolithic kernel criticism, have you used OpenBSD? Yes, I sometimes have used OpenBSD. I looked at the code and old-fashioned C code and monolithic kernel stuff, and yeah, authentication vulnerability in OpenBSD. Oops. CVE 2019-1952-1 authentication bypass. So of course they don't play at the change for a later midnight, but long story short, so they say here it should be studied on a case-by-case basis. So, but basically, this vulnerability is a remote exploitable oops in SMTPD, LDAPD, and Radius D, but its real-world impact should be studied. For example, SS Secure Shell SSHD is not exploitable thanks to the defs mechanism, aka a little sandboxing, I guess they mean there. Also, I would appreciate if they would call it sandboxing and not defense in defs, whatever that exactly should mean. But anyway, yeah, recurring theme here. Probably I blame it to the most part old-fashioned C, which we probably should really not have been using, and then Rust and Java, by the way. A couple of true prims, anyway, 30. Anyway, leave in the comments what you think. I said it before, OpenBSD, vintage, classic C code base, nothing too magic except not as randomly changing, and don't change what's broken, and more security code review. But yeah, C code shit can happen. So there you have it. But that's not all this week. We have more. Yes, also. Anyway, preloaded this, but whatever, I accept whatever. In similar news, new Linux vulnerability lets attackers hijack VPN. So, oops, also here, recurring theme here, you guessed it, nothing too new. However, security researchers have found a new vulnerability allowing potential attackers to hijack VPN connections on affected Unix devices, inject arbitrary data payloads into IPv4 and IPv6 TCP streams. Also, yeah, 2019, you would think 30 years of review, 10,000 of eyes and everything, double and triple and super mega, the most reviewed. But yeah, disclosed the security flaw tracked as CVE 2019-14-899 to distributions and Linux kernel security team, as well as other impacted such as systemd, also why systemd, but YOLO. Anyway, yeah, systemd, soon to be heard kernel taking over this, or something of that sort. Google, Apple, so basically everyone affected. The vulnerability is known to impact most Linux distributions. I wonder why most, but probably all, I guess, but your mileage may vary. Unix-like operating systems, including all the BSDs, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, wonder, have probably just don't know, but NetBSD, I don't know, or Dragonfly BSD, but given that everyone is affected, wouldn't surprise me if Dragonfly and NetBSD are also affected currently. Incomplete list of vulnerable operating systems, and the init systems they came with available below. Also, yeah, anyway, basically everyone, Ubuntu, Fedora, Arch, Manjaro. At least we are so unsuccessful one man that we are not listed. So, yeah. But all VPN implementations are affected. Also, you would think, how can this still happen in 2019? Do they have? I also would really appreciate, although this is just some bleeping computer news or whatever, I usually take the first majorly quoted article, to be fair. Also crappy advertisement, but whatever. Probably should. Anyway, mitigation is possible. According to the researchers, it can be potentially achieved by turning reverse path filtering on or using Bog-on filtering, whatever. Fake IP addresses, and which help to encrypt encrypted packet sizing and timing, and so on, yada yada yada. I would appreciate in this day and age, because even this week usually I try to click on set and reply, play advertisements. I hear something threat hijacking, so that's probably the better. Do they have the code? I usually prefer to understand what's really going on there on a code basis. Also, certainly we don't have all the code of BSD. Anyway, need to study this more, and in general, which Linux kernel change fixes this. But comments in the audience, Navarro, I wonder if the VPN stuff affects Xena boxes. Yeah, I wonder which actually code change in the Linux kernel or wherever. IP, anyway, something. You guessed it. In similar news, also, cryptography was more broken. They are pleased to announce Emmanuel, Tom, and team factorization of RSA 240 from the RSA challenge list computation of discrete logarithm of the same size of 795 bits. Let P equal and so on, RSA 214 plus 49,204 be the first safe prime above RSA 240 and so on. So basically they have here with their research decreased breaking RSA from previous records were set in December 2009 and so on. First time that two records for integer factorization and discrete logarithm are broken together, moreover with the same hardware and software. Of course, a rough breakdown of the time spent on the main computation steps is as following: 800 physical core years and so on. And yeah, also 2019, certainly this is what we have recurring news of, not only using larger keys and quantum cryptography, but yeah, stuff, the faster and larger our boxes become, the faster you can break crypto. Also research, I think they probably have some new, with a rough complexity ratio given for that formula factors, exponent, customary taken, estimation of ardence increase and so on. Where do they even have acceleration? Can be attributed to various algorithm improvements that were implemented for those computations. So yeah, there you have it. Also crypto use larger keys and the most suitable algorithms. In similar news, the most copied StackOverflow Java code. Advertisements everywhere. Yeah, I had to reboot for other. I already closed all this crap previously. So yeah, 2019, most of the software that is so buggy, and also certainly not the TCP code in all operating systems. But in similar news, when you are wondering why is stuff so broken and why we can't have nice things, then yeah, 2019 Stack Overflow code. Also, yeah, how do we program in 2019? We program by copy and pasting Stack Overflow Java code snippets. So 9 years later, developer corrects code snippet. And this is the most noteworthy, not only because we shouldn't be doing programming by copy and pasting and learning from Stack Overflow, but also that even, yeah, the usual with the TCP stuff, with VPN stuff broken, also 9 years, it took 9 years uses found. So academics have found this code has been copied and embedded in more than 6,000 GitHub Java projects. So I didn't do the counting myself, so not sure if that contains forks of forks, but seriously, like previously is that this is just human readable printing some megabyte stuff here. So you have some number like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 bytes, and the human readable format would be like 123.5 megabytes. Even this, also, why do I found this newsworthy? This is so hilarious that 2019 people need to Google how to human printable print a string. And I have code for this myself. I should actually check if my own code is correct. But we simply divide this by 1024, or actually our code is so generic, it's just having a parameter. Of course, it's in the new UI stuff, it's Lua, that we like here very much for various reasons. And actually it's just like looping on until the number is less than 1000 and dividing it always by the scaling factor of either 1000 or other supplied, so 1000 or 1024 actually. I would expect that our code so simple, like it's like 4 lines of code or something. Maybe I show it to you another day after I carefully check that it doesn't have the same code. What is, by the way, security flow? This might sound like an overly alarming statement, but the different research showed that Stack Overflow code snippets do contain vulnerabilities, and that this is not just urban myth, but developers use to scare each other. The research found major security flaws in 69 of the most popular C++ snippets in the past 10 years. So yeah, there you have it. Not only this. Where is actually blog post? Let's see, where is the code? Suffixes, so yeah, actually should check. Anyway, yeah, so there you have it. I didn't check the details, but such travel code. Not only people, 2019, people don't implement it themselves. They copy and paste it from Stack Overflow. Anyway, yeah, welcome everyone. Thanks for asking. We are relatively fine, extract super busy, and too many security vulnerabilities, but otherwise, yeah. Also, vulnerability in fully patched Android phones under active attack by bank thieves. Strand hook spoofs flaw. Also, stupid stuff. Where is it? Flaw exploited by 36 apps, including bank Trojans. A vulnerability in millions of fully patched Android phones is being actively exploited by malware that's designed to drain the bank accounts of infected users. Researchers said on Monday vulnerability allows malicious apps to masquerade as legitimate apps that target and have already installed and come to trust researchers from security firm and so on. I'm personally not the greatest fan of all those online banking apps. I'm also not the two-factor authentication stuff in the EU. Leave me in the comments below what you think. In my opinion, forcing users to have two-factor authentication with some vastly often SVC insecure stuff here on Android and iOS, not the best stuff. And yes, mobile TAN stuff is also not the most amazing, but actually, yeah, somehow this is why we have here this recurring security shoutout, because somehow stuff needs to change, stuff needs to become more secure. And in similar news, 2 malicious Python libraries caught stealing SSH, secure shell and GPG keys. One library, also we had this previously, other code libraries have distributed like PHP and whatnot, and now it's Python. One library was available for only 2 days, but the second was live for nearly a year. There you have it, one single point of failure, recurring shoutout, not only the App Store, but also this code repositories, similar to Rust and Cargo. And although I understand and people love it for the simplicity and one-stop shop of PHP and so on. But in similar news here, Python security team removed two Trojanized Python libraries from PyPy Python package index that were caught stealing secure shell and GPG. Also, yeah, people tell me this Rust and Cargo is amazing, just cargo something and you get millions of micro dependencies, and then yeah, we will have one day, mark this day in the calendar, and we will have the day in a year or two to come when some cargo package steals your SSH and stuff. And GPG keys using a technique you call type squatting to register similar looking names. The first is Python 3 date util, which is imitating the popular date util library. The second is Jellyfish. The first L is an I, which mimics the Jellyfish library. So yeah, there you have it, 2019. What should we say more? In similar news, hackers trick venture capital firm into sending them millions. Darn it. And yeah, I rebooted freshly due to reasons. Chinese venture capital firm and Israeli startup had money stolen right under their noses thanks to spoofed emails and bogus domains. And yeah, this is recurring shout out, not only ATMs, GPG, secure shell. Also, yeah, if you have your code deployment, your keys, SSH, GPG stolen, your venture capital money from emails. So as far as I understood from a quick read through, they also analyzed the server logs, and the first name was essentially the same as the Israeli startup domain, but with an additional S attached to the end of the domain name. So yeah, Checkpoint said also all the security certificates help nothing, right? Your register is similarly locking the domain, just like with this squashing here with L for I and so on. You get a certificate, so all the security stuff, SSL and stuff doesn't even help. It's a valid domain, everything looks perfect, and yeah, from there the attacker sent two emails with the same subject header as the original email, one posing as a startup CEO from copycat startup domain, and the second sent to the Israeli startup from the copycat Chinese. So yeah, need to take security seriously, also human factor, need to be careful. I certainly would double check and also only transfer to the same account and not like copy and pasting a new totally different looking account number, but maybe we are just double checking too much here, and take security more seriously. In similar news, German, but I will translate, Berlin police gets Windows 10 and not all, but some. So yeah, Windows 10, you migrate to Windows 10 and some of your data disappears. Recurring theme here. Migration from Windows 10 to Windows 10, and the politicians and all the lobbyists tell us Windows is amazing. Yeah, unless you have a malware, some ransomware, all the courts and hospitals already with ransomware here, recurring shout out. And now the Berlin police also next door, the courthouse that is still infected with this, whatever that malware was. Now the police, not even malware or ransomware, just a regular update and your data is gone. So amazing. Not only deployment, but backup strategy. If you had to get more proof here and inspiration of what systems to run. Also, yeah, testing stuff like Catalina, not only that macOS Peakbox is better of our customers and recurring shout out, but deployment testing, more testing, and yeah, work methods, right? Not like just like, yeah, it will work, it's Microsoft, just roll it out, and yeah, of course not. They write to the IT, so one employee made a mistake and now some data disappeared. So yeah, amazing detective work there for 100. Microsoft, in similar news, after losing the data there, Microsoft, they're creating a new Rust-like programming language for more secure coding. It's like, yeah, also 722. Anyway, we had this in previous news. Can we also stop this bloody rolling auto-playing advertisement? We had this in last week's news, Microsoft testing Rust for their more secure, because Windows decades of bugs accumulated stuff. So last week or so we shouted out of Microsoft had there some tests and they were relatively satisfied. And this week we have here, they invent a new Rust-like programming language because, yeah, why work together and make one stuff? So yeah, the regular 14 standards, 14 shitty standards, and you make the 15, and that is also shitty, right? And now you have 15 shitty standards or something of that sort. Also, people on Veronix of all forums, I sometimes post to just, there's some news, and just sometimes I drop a comment just to tease people or irritate them. And there was some Microsoft stuff, and I commented there some one-liner. I was like, yeah, Microsoft, the usual low-quality garbage whatsoever. And people on Veronix really, it was something of like, yeah, right, it was Veronix, like Microsoft, the largest open source contributor, which is like, yeah, seriously, what the heck? Open source was doing fine for decades, and we don't need Microsoft to come along and contribute to open source. It's hilarious because Microsoft quality, right? But so we build up all the open source landscape, and then Microsoft comes and is a new largest open source contributor, seriously. But yeah, they can't work with the Rust people. They need to create an own programming language. I find this hilarious, although I'm slightly tempted myself. Personally, not the most impressed with Rust, but this has also other reasons. So I'm a little bit in the boat. We are using Lua here. Lua is pretty amazing for many stuff, but of course not the highest performance unless you use Lua JIT, which we don't, because we didn't want too many different copyright author stuff there. I'm a little bit tempted to create more amazing JIT stuff with Lua. So I'm a little bit, also the reason I've not yet done this is because there are 14 standards, or actually programming languages. There are 1,000 like Linux distributions, 1,007 in the meantime Linux distributions, 1,000 program languages. This is exactly the reason why I've not started my own Lua like amazing language, but maybe we do. But seriously, this Rust-like programming language, there is this huge Rust stuff, and at least I want to do something a little bit different. They also want to do a little bit different Rust, but yeah. Microsoft project Verona, and also a recurring shout out, this is why we can't have nice things. 1,000 Linux distributions, 1,000 programming languages, and 1,001 security vulnerabilities. Creating a new language for safe infrastructure programming. Yeah, they couldn't use Rust because of reasons. Microsoft can't just throw away all their Windows code, but the company's project Verona aims to make all the low-level components in Windows more secure. The company recently revealed, previous news of ours, trials with Rust over C and C++ to remove insecure code from Windows and hits its targets. So how to build all Windows users, yada yada, memory safety and so on. Yes, a recurring shout out here. We built a garbage collector, GC for the DOM, yada yada, and so on. What is now the project is being supported by the CH project, which made open source soon. It's a new language for calling safe infrastructure. It's really hard to do memory management. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Memory safety is very difficult on Rust, not like Rust. So the ownership model in Verona is based on groups of objects, not like Rust, where it's based on a single object. In C++, you get pointers pretty much per object, but that isn't how I think about data in grammar. I think about data. So by taking ownership at the level of ownership of objects, then we get much closer to the level of abstraction that people are using. It's giving us ability to build data structures without going outside of safety. Yeah, not sure, whatever. We will see. We have comments in the audience, which is always amazing. Detard using Windows on their wireless network design software in the VM and updated, wiped some work was working on, so had to revise the site and take new measurements. Lost quite a bit of money. Yeah, that is annoying. Also, yeah, I also lost. So also, truth be told, this week not only are we the busiest month here at Extra Code, like since probably a long time. So many people with macOS customer that probably deserves an own stream. But also I IRM-RF also data this week that was production data, and we also lost some of my own stupidity, so I should probably fire myself. But also, thankfully we have not really lost much, but it was just a waste of time and money, our own fault. So recurring shout out. Also mainstream, probably I guess there, mainstream channel, Octane, SCSI, backup stuff of good old tape. Goodness, if you have not seen this. So yeah, keep your backup stuff up to date. Thankfully, not really much was lost, but yeah, recurring shout out. But yeah, also the last weeks, previously this never happened to me. So there you see, after like 2 decades, never lost data, and then some RM-RF in the wrong direction. You're like, oops, that was not really what I wanted to wipe, but have a backup. But previously I only lost data due to macOS from 2 years ago with High Sierra or something migration. Also some local data that wasn't backup. These are just the last days of reverse engineering stuff, pretty annoying, and some Office documents here and there. Not too much of a deal, but there, yeah, have a backup of everything, especially of these proprietary operating systems that just do something. Especially on macOS, 2 times I lost no data, both times 2 years ago and this year. Just some, thankfully nothing major, because we certainly don't use major macOS stuff for production, but both times because the disk utility is such a piece of garbage, and this new storage sharing, whatever volume crap there, did some havoc. And yeah. In similar news, Apple news, AirPlay 2 support here, reverse engineered, at least here allegedly, to this bug report. So also 2019 we have standards is proprietary standards, and this is also my grief with Apple. As I said previously, decades ago I purchased iBooks or so, or G5, for the relatively outstanding hardware and certainly PowerPC CPUs, and a decade ago Apple was standard conform. When Apple was fighting more Windows, they had all the stuff in macOS standard conform, like WebDAV and iCal and whatever, before they did everything proprietary now. And also 2019 we cannot use open streaming protocols for audio streaming because of reasons. And yeah, and this is also why I increasingly migrate. Recurring viewers may realize this on this channel. Everything Linux open source, and I will not touch anything personally for anything reasonable with proprietary garbage. So no AirPlay for me, no whatever. So also reverse engineering. So people ask here, 2 years ago, AirPlay support for some open source audio streaming stuff, and now here that is now reverse engineered. So also proprietary stuff, eventually it gets reverse engineered. Also Louis Rossmann soldering stuff there, and you can only hide the schematics so much. Eventually your protocol analysis and whatever. So yeah, there you have it. AirPlay 2, it's not yet production ready. It's like proof of concept, works for some people, but if you're looking into such kind of stuff, at least it's broken and reversed, and that's at least a good thing. In similar stuff, Amazon Code Guru preview 2019 or so to come, automate code reviews. What could possibly go wrong? So in the future, not only machine learning will write code, it will also machine learning will review code, and then full circle, soon coming near to you, machine learning writing code and reviewing code itself. What could possibly go wrong? Right now, without fully general artificial intelligence, I don't have the highest expectations of this, but leave in the comments below what you think. Also, usually this is just some pattern matching and pattern learning. So I wouldn't be surprised. Although, I mean, you don't really need machine learning, right? For real code review, automatic verification, all the code checking stuff, Coverty and other code checking services already out there for decades. So usually do this with static analysis or other kind of verification. Not really convinced, and certainly they have found many bugs similar to how compilers get increasingly better spotting stuff. And LLVM sealing, static analysis and stuff. But so yeah, KuteGuru is powered by machine learning. So yeah, 2019. What? Yeah, I don't. Can find and fix code issues, and yeah, it fixes it for you. It's amazing. On demand with low on demand pricing. So yeah, they charge you for that. Inexpensive enough to use on every code review and application you run. KuteGuru supports Java applications today with support for many more languages. Also use Java, it's amazing, and then you need automated machine learning code review because nah, maybe not so amazing. But anyway, in similar news, Huawei, we had this in previous news, sanctions and more sanctions, and we also had this in previous news. I announced this already. Can we also zoom into this also here? It's the latest version of Firefox, still zooming pretty slowly. Huawei appears to be doing just fine without American chips. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock, who expected that? I said it before, previous news, I say it again. Certainly the biggest mistake if you cut off companies that from your supply, they will just invent their own stuff. It's especially with big like leading nations like China. They usually just buy US integrated circuits to be nice to them and keep in good relations without copying them or re-implementing them immediately. And also I've seen that personally with our software working with Taiwanese and other Asian. Usually you get some deal, you sell something until they're not stupid. They can implement this themselves. Usually it's like time to market and convenience. And if you have no convenience and time to market, then yeah, you invented yourself, coded yourself. Certainly they have enough developers, no surprise there. Chinese telecom giant has reduced reliance on US suppliers, reports find here. I mean, who did not expect that? See this coming. So according to some research, the latest Huawei device, 0 US integrated circuits. So there you have it, just as expected. In similar news or expected news, even the FBI is warning about smart TV security. So yeah, I said it here before, smart TVs, other connected devices, Internet of Stuff devices, and security, outstanding security as recurrently seen on this channel. Even the FBI is warning about smart TV security. Yeah. Monolithic kernel, Android never updated, or if it is updated, soon not updated, with just this stuff copy and pasted together from StackOverflow. What could possibly go wrong if you buy a smart TV on Black Friday or plan to buy one on Cyber Monday? Yeah, this is last week's news. But anyway, FBI wants you to know a couple of things. I also for decades already warn people not to buy this stuff. Usually it doesn't last long anyway. Skype APIs, Netflix APIs change. So 2, 3, 4 years down the line, you have a dumb TV anyway with all the smart features. YouTube APIs change, Skype, Netflix. So after a couple of years, stuff increasingly doesn't work anymore. Or I've seen people where firmware updates should make something better. I've seen it with so many people complaining to me, my smart TV increasingly gets more and more buggy. Each firmware update, the question is, of course, is it just perceived? Maybe on the first month they don't realize because they are happy and whatever. Or, although I really have seen some people where some features like deterministically become broken on smart TVs. So I don't know, leave in the comments below what you think. You could think if that maybe the vendors like do it intentionally to plant obsolescence and just decrease the experience with whatever and get people to buy a new one. I don't know. Detard there in the comments has a Sony TV running. Android TV came from the factory with malware. Yeah, LOL, certainly recurring. Yeah, also, even if it doesn't come with malware, usually Android versions of yesteryear and already with yesteryear's security vulnerabilities unpatched and never or rarely receiving an update. In similar news, recurring news, Russia to upgrade homegrown encyclopedia after Putin punts Wikipedia. So Russia increasingly first cutting the internet, their own internet, then Russian software on devices like smartphones, previous and last month's IT news here on this channel, and now Putin has wants and demands and orders their own Wikipedia. So Wikipedia allegedly is too unreliable, yes, and I agree totally with Putin as long as our T2SD is not mentioned there. Our article deleted because not newsworthy enough, so as long as there is no T2SD article, certainly Wikipedia can't be trusted. So probably I should, next time in Moscow, stop there at the Kremlin and make sure that our T2SD certainly is mentioned there in the Russian flavor of this. But why do I include this? Of course, it is one thing to make fun of Russia and China, but we have seen over the last decades, in my opinion, that also Western states, not only eyeing USA, but also Europe here, France, UK, Germany, you name it, increasingly adopting such measures with calling for terrorism, for this and that, everything needs to be censored and stuff. This is why IT-related recurring shout out, trickle down effect of everything from east to west. So leave in the comments below what you think. Also, yeah, certainly would not be surprised if the US regulations soon will require Wikipedia trusted reviews of Homeland Security or whatever they call it there. In similar news, what do you mean page not found? Hello? How can this? We had Microsoft news here. It is hilarious. What was it? Let's check. That was yeah, that was also. Why is this not? This is not the full URL. That is funny. Let's see if the full URL loads. This is the recurring quality of Windows updates. What do you mean with page not found? So that was an article of devices connected through Thunderbolt dock are not working anymore. Maybe this November 25. Let's see if that loads. Only live on this channel. They removed the support page. Are you freaking kidding me? So yeah, there you have it. The most amazing support Microsoft deletes. Not surprised. So that was Thunderbolt dock stops working. So yeah, Windows 10, the most amazing software support and stuff stops. Yeah, also 2019, even the Google cache doesn't load. Are you freaking kidding me? Yeah, then let's use this here. Devices in Thunderbolt dock can fail after PC wakes, and recurring shoutouts not only in Linux stuff is breaking for me or macOS, but also Windows. And recurring shoutout, why? So not only to spread the awareness that stuff at Microsoft and Apple is also not the most amazing, and certainly not Linux, with all the constant changes and breaking APIs, but technology is also too complex, in my opinion. In what I really would like to call for is less complex stuff. It can't be that the integrated circuits, so not only for many devices firmware loading like this super complex FPGA and requiring yeah, not amazing FPGA based HDMI capture dongle. Also nothing against FPGA, but they could really put an EEPROM flash in there and load the bitstream from the flash and make this universal video codec stuff, USB stuff. But we really, in my opinion, for a reliable IT future, it starts with the hardware, and hardware needs to be less complex and less error prone, and already designed to keep it stupid simple. And when this stuff like Thunderbolt and USB 4 to come, like super complex, right? Probably 2,000 pages of standard, thousands of registers, super complex state machine. We probably can take a look at this sometime soon, USB standard. And it is no wonder that a 2000 page standard with thousands of registers of bits and pieces to tweak and write, and then different hardware vendors like Intel, AMD, NEC, VR, and everything a little bit buggy and glitchy. And yeah, stuff doesn't work at boot, at cold boot, at warm boot, at suspend. So yeah, also on Windows with Windows drivers from Intel and AMD and stuff. According to Micro, there's a 5% failure rate on all devices that are attached to USB. Also, why I made, when my YouTube channel was new, the main channel, everything dongle, also recurring stuff here. All my Macs get the mini display port, get increasingly glitchy. All my Macs, like using it 100 times, they get so dongle life, not reliable. You touch it a little bit and you plug it 100 times, and then the mini display port or USB-C connector, not amazing anymore. You need to touch it a little bit to have connections and similar stuff. What is here with our... so yeah, comments in the audience, Microsoft covering it up here. There you have it, nothing to see. Similar news here, just exactly this. Live translation from German. Even so, is it my perception here that stuff becomes peak bugs and hashtag peak bugs unreliable? Also, on my Twitter account, I found more. Everything I click on macOS has peak bugs. It's hilarious if you want to follow my hashtag peak bug there on Twitter. Even major German IT news already call out even charging on a Mac. So that is not because I don't even have a new enough Mac, because I'm not buying any Macs anymore. But the new Macs with USB-C also, probably it applies to PCs anyway, because USB-C is so complex. I said it, over 1000 page standard, and then already charging isn't simple anymore, right? They write here, depending on the MacBook Pro model, they even Apple is delivering with the out-of-the-box experience different charging cables. So you take one Apple charging cable and you charge another Mac in your office or your friends and family, significant other and whatnot, and your Mac is not charging right or slower and stuff. So yeah, 2019 USB cable is not like USB cable. Some are super speed, some are power delivery, and even at Apple they have different wide looking power cables. That some are 90 watts, some are just 18 watts for iPad Pro, some are 96 watts. So yeah, 2019, watch your USB cables, probably mark them, probably that you know which are. Also, I've seen this, but that is also not ThinkPad faults. I called this out in the link ThinkPad L390 or so, I think, review. I think the ThinkPad L319 was charging from an 18 watt smartphone charger, which I found pretty cool. Of course, it was charging super slow, but I anyway found it pretty cool for traveling. Charge overnight, and that's fine with a smartphone charger, worked for me. Amazing stuff for travel. And then I expected all the other ThinkPads to work the same, and I once nearly flew away with only an 18 watt charger, and only the last minute walking out of the office, I literally like, wait a second, I never tested this, does it work? Plugged it in, of course it didn't work. So only last minute grabbing a big bulky charger. And yeah, test before you travel what really works together. And not all devices charge. Like the L319 might charge, but the X1 Carbon and the 495 did not charge with an 18 watt charger. So yeah, also some power supplies, of course, only 30 watt and so on. So super confusing experience, and soon it will become even more confusing with USB 4 and integrated Thunderbolt support. That will be fun. Last but not least, recurring shout out. We had this in earlier news today, that Russia and China social scoring, Wikipedia, local internet, and the Department of Homeland Security. I speculated some minute before now. First they wanted the face recognition scans of foreigners, and now they're coming for the US citizens. If you were wondering, yeah, I'm fine, I'm local, all the foreigners, they should scan, yeah, good luck. they always come for the foreigners first, and then after some years time, then of course we can scan everyone. So yeah, if you were looking for the Blade Runner or favorite science fiction movie future, then look no further than your local, not only China, Russian, Korean, but also European, US government wanting everything from you. Leave in the comments what you, of course the usual, I have nothing to hide, except when you just have been accidentally at the wrong place, waiting in a car, waiting in a coffee shop, and then bank robbery, other terror stuff, and yeah, that is certainly, yeah, not really sure, except all the government, we have so huge database breaches already in India and Brazil or wherever this previous IT news. The more they store, the more is taken away and gets lost in security vulnerabilities. I hope you learned something, especially in regards to OpenBSD security. No surprise there. It's regular monolithic C code, just better reviewed and less changing. Don't change what ain't broken, but eventually there is some typo. Detard writes, a Chinese laptop with USB-C charging isn't picky at all. GPD Pocket is pickier, and the one will always charge but isn't happy. It will charge very slowly. Yeah, just that one ThinkPad charge and the other not. I understand that maybe the charging circuit for a larger battery can't charge with 18 watts, but it would be cool if it could do it. And fun fact, last but not least, social scoring, right? Just as an example, I know a Chinese from friends and family, the significant other is from China, and she recently traveled back after 6 months to China. And funny story here in between. Of course, even as Chinese, you live in Europe and you read some news, you have a global understanding what's going on in social scoring or not. Believe it or not, she was walking a crosswalk like 30 centimeters next to the crosswalk, and she was stopped by the police and fined for walking for unallowed diagonal trespassing of not allowed areas. So her social score was decremented by 1 or 5 or whatever for crossing the street at a traffic light, a green traffic light with plenty of other people, but because it was crowded, she was walking for trouble. That's it for today. I hope you learned something. Yeah, Detard writes, Chinese laptop charged with a Samsung phone charger. That's exactly what I've done. So the ThinkPad L390 was charging with a Samsung Galaxy S10 charger, 18 watts I think, and the X1 Carbon and T490S were not. Yeah, that is the future. I hope you learned something, and if you have any comments in regards to security, the issue is I would really appreciate, or I would really love to try to contribute more secure code, and I hope I, at least right now, can inspire people to think and not only copy and paste. And I hope I soon have a little bit more time to contribute more with new code. However, I have to say, I mentioned already that our new UI stuff is Lua, and we have even our old-fashioned, like we have 500 own drivers, not like copy and paste it from Sane or something, like not like other competitors might be doing. This is why we only have 500 and not like 5,000, because we write them from scratch. And the new ones are written in Lua, so much too, not copying there from here. And I have to say, our old drivers, which are C++, have so many more stability or bugs that, of course, even we with 20 years of experience sometimes find. And I have to say, although our new drivers are written in Lua, and it's not only faster to prototype and more pleasant to write, because you, at the most part, get a runtime error like 10 table index undefined or something. And maybe I show actually some snippets to inspire in people. And although our new drivers in Lua are significantly more rushed, like reverse engineered and rushed to market ASAP for commercial profit reasons, obviously. And although they in my guesstimate, they are more rushed, at least, and we have although they are more rushed, we have significantly less issues with it. That is really surprising, but certainly no surprise for a not pointer arithmetic and like no array of under or overrun and stuff. So yeah, no surprise there. The worst thing usually you could get is a runtime error, something undefined and stuff like that. And at least it's not like crashing and causing a security issue as in overwriting data, but just like some exception kind of, yeah, that doesn't work, exception whatsoever, runtime error, something. Certainly much more stable and reliable to work with. And yeah, that's a quick outlook here for some more in-depth stuff. Leave me in the comments below what you think, what you find newsworthy. I hope you learned something, and I hope to see you soon for the next videos and live streams to come.